quick. I was at the City Park pool at June. I'm with my little girlfriend there, and I had 8 guys out detailing cars for me, and I was at the pool. And I pulled down about $200, $230 that day. And these things are so fresh in my mind because that was the moment I thought, this is a good deal right here.
Isn't this Parkersburg, West Virginia?
Parkersburg, West Virginia. West by God, Virginia. Yeah, that's exactly right.
They drove cars then?
Not many. It's bad. It's bad. I love my roots. I love Parkersburg, West Virginia. I go back occasionally, so
$230.
$230, and I did nothing that day except do the marketing, do the scheduling, provide the product, provide the customers. And I thought this is good. So, go to University of Kentucky first year. I'm thinking, okay, get good grades. This is the way it works. That summer, I started selling vacuum cleaners at Richmond, Kentucky, or whatever. My dad was the president of Rainbow Vacuum Cleaners, so that was just a natural step for me. So that hey, go make $335 an hour, go detail cars, or go sell vacuum cleaners, and I was good at it. Mark, at the end of the day, I was good at it.
So here's the question. So this is. Why do you think you were good? Where's this come from? Does it come from? Is it at the mall? Is it at Gap? Is it being around your dad all the time? What is it?
It's I have no inhibitions talking to people. So and I think that's a gift or whatever. You got people that are shy, don't know how to interact and things like that. I have no inhibitions talking to people. I can pull up to a small trailer home and go in and relate. I can pull up to a mansion in Lexington and go in and relate. I have no problems talking to anybody about anything. I think everyone's pretty much the same at the end of the day. If they're not, then they're putting on airs at the end of the day. But no, I really did well because I understood it wasn't about selling the vacuum cleaner. It was about the referrals because you start out every summer knocking doors, and it's the worst crap in the world. It's one out of 30 let you in, and then you sell 1 out of 3. So you got to knock on 90 doors to get a commission. This is tough. And so as soon as I get into a home, buddy, I'm like, how big's your family? You from around here? You go to a church around here? Where are your kids? That
trying to make connections.
I'm just networking like crazy. I'm looking at pictures on the wall. I'm asking questions. They think I'm just having a conversation, but I'm just lining them up for the referrals. I do a great presentation. Keep it light. Keep it simple. They laugh a little bit. I get done at the end. I don't care if they buy it. 1 out of 3 buy it. I don't care. I just want the referrals, so I don't have to go knock doors anymore.
So do you identify with this? So many people. I cut my teeth in a mall.
Did you really?
Selling hats, man.
Yeah.
Company called Hat World and Lids.
Is that now Lids?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And so that's why I was in Parkersburg and in Charleston.
Yeah.
And I was a district manager driving all those towns. I started out part-time when I was going to Northern, and then just, somebody identified me. One of the guys that started the company is like, you know what? I think this guy's got something. And it's the same thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I cut my teeth working in malls. Before that, it was another little sports store called Pro Image. Mm-hmm. And I was just out there at the lease line, not back behind the cash wrap.
Right.
Engaging with people.
Right.
And so still to this day, so of course then I get a real estate license, just have the natural instinct to talk to people, right? And people are like, man, Mark, how does it, when people come into an open house, everyone wants to have you help them buy a home. And I was like, guys, it's really simple, and I don't know if I can connect the dots for you or not, but I'm not trying to sell the house.
Right.
I'm not. Every other realtor's trying to sell the house.
Right.
Every other realtor's trying to get their phone number. Every other realtor's trying to do it for the follow-up.
Right.
I'm just trying to make a connection.
Right.
Letting them know, like, hey, I'm here to help you.
Right.
If you have a need of selling a home, I'm a good guy, but I like to have fun. But let me do whatever I can to inform you about the product.
Right.
I'm really smart. I'm knowledgeable. I'm good to work with. If you need somebody to help you, here I am.
Yeah.
And I just never was, by default, worried about the close because I didn't have to be.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe that was.
Yeah, you get it. That's it. You understand that's the process. You're 3 steps ahead in most cases because everyone's reading their cards. They've gone through training. They know what to say. They know how to say it. You're like you're missing the whole point. The point is the connection.
That's it.
And that's it.
So I think the question is, I'm assuming that I'm jumping back when was your dad, was he in sweeper sales since you were a kid?
Yeah, my whole life. Here's
that's what you're around.
Well, so I dating a little girl in high school. We get my dad's Mercedes 560 SEL. That was a big Mercedes back in the day. There's a phone in it. And she goes, oh, my God, there's a phone in this car. And I said, yeah, my dad's a vacuum cleaner salesman. And she goes, she used to date Greg Brooks or whatever. And his daddy's a doctor. It's like, he doesn't have a car that's nice. I said, well, no, he doesn't sell vacuum cleaners. I was so screwed up in my life because I thought the hierarchy went vacuum cleaner sales, doctor, lawyer, whatever professional. I was like, this is what you strive for. This is the epitome of life, because my dad, we lived in a great house, drove a great car, did whatever he wanted. He was a phenomenal salesman. My dad, 86, still works at Kona every single day. I don't know what he does there, but the morale is better when he's there.
So did you learn this by you woke up and went to bed and lived your life around him every day?
Every day. Yeah. And I was born on his birthday, November 2nd. We just had our birthday together. Every day, every November 2nd, we're together. We have lunch or whatever. I've got, 3 other siblings, and we're all close. We're a close family, but Dad and I just seem to be cut from the same cloth. And I say that's a compliment to me, because my dad is the most unusual person I've ever met in my life. And I'm not like him. I look at and I see the differences, but my dad is just this natural, God's gift of communication. Now he needs a software update, because he's 86. Every 86-year-old needs a software update. He's an HR disaster.
Well, it sounds like I need a software update too, then.
I was like, oh my gosh, you cannot say that. But it's funny because everybody loves the HR girl at the office is like, oh, he can say whatever he wants.
At 86, he gets away with it.
He's
allowed your
to.
Dad, and he's 86.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is the way he is. We all know someone like him.
Yeah.
He does it the right way that he can get away with it.
Every time, because it's pure. It's very pure. He's the founder of the founder. That's his title. He's FOF, and he tells everybody that. He goes, "I'm not the founder, but I am the founder of the founder."
Did he ever put you through when you went from the mall, and then did some? Why'd you stop detailing cars when you went to UK?
I went to UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when you were coming out of school, when did you know I'm going to be a sweeper salesman?
I was just going to do it till I got my degree, and then I was going to get a real job. And so I went all the way through school, got my degree, and it wasn't easy. I mean, it took me 5.5 years to get that 4-year degree. So I went to a job interview for Merck Pharmaceutical Sales, and I sat in the interview. I got a suit. I was like, finally, I get out of this vacuum cleaner crap and respect, and I'm going to sell pharmaceuticals. And I went through the interview. I got done. I got all the sales experience, and he goes, oh, you're a great candidate. And I said, so can I ask you a question? He goes, you got any questions for me? I said, yeah. How much do you make? He says, $36,500 starting. I was like, ugh. And he goes, I said, you get a company car? And he said, yeah. And I said, what kind? And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, what kind of car? He goes, it's a minivan. I'm like, brother, and I looked like this when I was in college. It's not like I've gotten ugly. I looked exactly like this in high school or in college. And I said, I can't, brother, I need a Ferrari or something, man. I'm 36.5. I'm not going to be throwing money around. I said, where can I be in 5 years? And he goes, well, you could be a regional manager, blah, 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 blah. Be making 50, 55, maybe 60 with some. I'm like, and I left that. True story. I left that interview on the college, the BE building, and I drove to the Lexington Rainbow Vacuum Cleaner office, and I said, what's the highest commission you'll pay me? Guy gave me the commission. I just started working there. And my it just blows me away. I'm not a big fan of college. Now we need it for doctors and lawyers and accountants and professionals, but we don't need it for all the other stuff, the gen eds and the history degrees. I mean, if you want to teach, yes, I'm so glad there's college to kind of weed out the people, so we get some great teachers.
You know what I heard? Someone was just up here, and this is starting to catch on more and more because it's tough to reprogram our brains.
Yeah.
So a guy was just here. He said, listen, I'm a massive fan of constant education.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I'm not a fan of academia.
Right. That's exactly right. I am not a fan of this put you on a train track. You get out of high school and you're just immediately into college, and then you're signing a contract or you're agreeing to go into debt at 18 when you can't even you can't even vote. Or no, you can vote. What can't you do? You can't drink.
Can't drink.
But you can decide your life and go into hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And
the 4 years is not the issue. Right? The 4 years, the 5.5 years from 18 to 23, that's not the issue, even though I did it very non-traditional if we get into that. But I only went to Northern for a year before I hit the road for those boys at Lids.
Yeah.
But then I came back, night classes at Northern, morning class at Northern, Thomas More they were the only college that had non-traditional night classes back in 2000. Right? And so I learned more from 19 to 24 on the road.
Yeah, I would agree.
Personnel, building that company, inventory, loss prevention, HR management, hiring. You couldn't teach that shit in college.
No.
And so, however, there's some weaknesses I had that I had to make up for, right? I really needed to go deep in some more economics. I needed to go deep in some accounting classes.
Yeah.
But if I would have gone the traditional route, I wouldn't be the guy I am today.
Yeah, because you think about you're just lined up there at like cattle in your economics 101 class. You don't even care. You're just trying to get to the end so you can get your grade. When you come back at it and you're thinking, I want to know some economic principles. Now you're sitting there listening.
Third, fourth year.
Yeah. Now you're starting to listen. Now you're starting to care. You can I can apply these theories and these ideas. This is great. I've got 4 kids. None of them went to college, and I've got funds to send them to college if I want to, and
maybe they'll choose later. So I guess my argument is that even if I would have, because the letter came back from UK saying, "Are you coming? We have your dorm reserved.
Right?
Are you coming?"
Yeah.
And I just didn't go. I stayed home, went to Northern. But even though I would have been a different guy, I'm not saying I would have been. I just wouldn't have been here. But again, it's not the 4 or 5 years. It's the 80, 100, 150 grand you're strapped with.
Yeah.
That puts you so far behind the 8 ball. You don't have options in life.
Right.
That stuff's going to come due.
Yeah.
Right? And you can't. It's one of the only ones. Bankruptcy doesn't cover it up.
Right. Isn't that amazing? The federal government gives it to you, and then they won't let you file bankruptcy. They'll let you file bankruptcy on everybody else, but not them.
That's wild. So, so you go to the vacuum cleaner stuff in Lexington.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have any thought about going back home to Parkersburg?
No, never, because my life was here. My family members were here, so I was ready to go. I worked for a year selling, and it was time to open up my own office. I moved to Northern Kentucky. Me and my wife moved up here in Northern Kentucky. Started me and one other fella that I'd gone to college with, and he came with me, and we started, and it blew up. I mean, I would like to sit back and look and say, well, because I was so good. I just kept frickin' working at the end of the day. I'm paying attention. You think about the life advice or whatever. I get the chance. I'm like you. I'm sure you get, I go into Northern. I go into the universities and schools. I actually like the high schools better, to be honest with you. So
you can make an impact there.
You can make an impact. They're still listening to you. You're still fairly cool. College, you're like, whatever. So I love talking, and they'll say, what's the advice? I said, just keep hustling. Just keep hustling, keep paying attention, constant education, keep reading, podcast, everything that you can get your hands on, consume it. You're already spending 8 hours a day with your phone. You might as well make it somewhat educational. Quit watching TikTok, and let's listen to some podcasts. Get something that motivates you, inspires you, get you out there, off your butt and get to work. So
when you open up a Rainbow and you had a family member, a cousin, a friend, somebody that opened up with you.
Yeah.
Right? So explain to me this process of trying to train and educate salespeople to do what you naturally did.
Yeah, it's Rainbow's a great company, and I still if it wasn't for Rainbow, I wouldn't be at all where I'm at today, because I learned a lot about sales, just personal sales, understanding the marketing of what I was fascinated with, Mark, was knocking on someone's door, them opening the door, and they hate me. I mean, I'm telling you, you can imagine. It's like, oh my God, we got an appointment with the vacuum cleaner guy.
We train our agents to knock on doors to sell houses.
Yeah, that's
still to this day.
It's the best thing in the world.
So yes.
Yeah, just
so I did it. It's how I built my real estate career.
Yeah, I mean, you should. Rejection. If you're one of these beautiful people in the world, and you and I are not.
Did you give him? Hey, Dave. Did you give him the 0 to 10 chart? Say, hey, Tony, at some point during this podcast, I just want to let you know, go ahead and rate Mark how he looks, but let him know.
Of course. Yeah,
hey, yeah. Were you trying to advocate for a 5? Can I get a 5?
You were 10 minutes late, so we had plenty of time to catch up.
Wow.
So
my reputation precedes me. Okay. So, all right, Mark Perkins isn't best looking, so here we go.
Right. I mean, listen, on radio, podcast, you are incredible, brother.
Unfortunately, this is on YouTube, too.
Oh, man, this is going to hurt, isn't it? I should have worn my toupee.
So when you're knocking on the door, they already hate you.
They hate you. And all my goal was to come out of there an hour and a half later with a friend, with someone that would refer me to their family, with someone to refer me to their friend. And so if you go into it with that attitude, and all these salesmen go and they're knocking on the door, they're like, oh my God, I need a $200 commission. I need a $300 commission. And it's like, you're like, no. All you need to do is make a friend. And it's so easy to make a friend. Communicate. Listen to them. Let them talk. Talk about them. People lose that so much. You're just like, talk about myself. No, talk about them. Get them talking. Plus, you're going to get the referrals on the whole thing. But I would walk out of the house. I can't tell you how many times people got their arm around me. I babysit kids before. I'll never forget Brenda and JT Alexander in Berea, Kentucky. I sold them a rainbow. Great people. I'm coming down to see it. One of their referrals. They said, "Hey, could you come about an hour early? We got to go to we got to go to the church. When you watch our kids for just about an hour before you go over to her sister's house." And I was like, "Absolutely, I'll come and watch the kids." And I'm like, I'm 19 years old watching two kids in the middle of Berea, Kentucky. And I'm like, what has happened? But that is it. I made a connection so good. They gave me the referrals. I had 6 ladies sell over 20 rainbows for me through referrals. And I don't know anybody. I was in the business for 13 years and so blessed in the business and just kept things were just great. We set records and did this and did that. I mean, I had end up with 6 offices, a couple hundred salespeople selling hundreds of rainbows a month, just ridiculous.
So what did the training program look like? Because you didn't need it.
Correct. But I think that was the secret to my success. I understood what needed to be trained, and what needed to be trained is not the most articulate demo in the world. It's the relation of the thing. Was here's a good opportunity to talk to them. Here's a good opportunity to get to find out about this. Here's a good opportunity to do that. So I would train. I trained obviously everybody in the beginning, and then I hired trainers, and then a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less, and you get bigger.
So you're basically we're talking about soft skills here. We're talking about for a doctor a bedside manner. So how much, when you were training, discuss this training program, when you hired a new salesperson, that you said, hey, you know what, they've got some skills. They have some charisma, but they don't have these sales skills. What's that training program look like? Are they instantly out on the street? Do they have to get in front of people? How much classroom time? What's that look like?
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 days of classroom time, a couple hours a night. They would come in at night. Usually you're recruiting from the home, which was fantastic. So you get done at the end. This is the great thing about Rainbow. You get done. I think my dad came up with this program. You get done with the end of the demonstration. People say, yeah, I'll take it. And say, great. And they start working on their leads. Because if you give them 4 leads, they'll get a free shampooer. So like, oh, my brother will buy one. My sister will buy one. My mom will buy one. My aunt will buy one. Well, great. I tell you what, instead of me going out and selling them, why don't you come in, learn how to sell these, sell 4, and you'll get this one paid for. And it's a great in-home referral program. So you got a lot of just normal people coming in, and they would always sell their warm leads because you could the trust and the belief is there. So they come in and they sell their warm leads, and your job was in the warm lead area to get them skilled enough that they could go sell the not as warm leads. So you go through it all the time. I had a lot of full-time salesmen for me, probably 30 or 40, then a bunch of part-timers. That would go through.
What's the 80-20 rule mean to you?
You mean Pareto's principle?
Oh, yeah.
In which, give me context.
And salespeople. Anything, business.
Yeah, I mean, 80% of the people do not get it. 20% of the people get it.
Make all the money and get it, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Have you thought about it? I don't want to put you on it, but I've thought about this over the years a ton. I don't want it to be that way.
I know, me either.
I don't.
Right.
I could accept it if it was 80-20 the other way.
Yeah, but I mean, the world wouldn't be cool. I mean, listen, our goal here is, our job here is to, the socialists, everybody be the same. I'm like, no. I like being in where you can stretch and work and rise above. I mean, isn't that the American dream? We're going to rise above the normality of life and achieve a little better.
Here's what I know is that, I thought about when you were talking about the Gap story. I love that we got back here. I was like, boy, I was a socialist running that place. They're cutting your hours. No, they're cutting your hours because you're more capable. And they're like, well, I know if you work 20 hours, you're going to do the same amount of the people at 40, so I got to make sure I level this out. Boy, I tell you what, that sales manager isn't doing a damn thing in this world. But so if Tony isn't the guy that he is, I can't be at the Outer Banks. I told you this story when I was in your office. I can't be at the Outer Banks in North Carolina this past summer.
Right.
Playing basketball that a 43-year-old shouldn't.
Right.
Not having water, and I'm like, wow, the last 2 or 3 years how I've lived my life in these long hours, they've really come back to bite me here. So I'm playing basketball with the 16-year-old family nephews and 18-year-old people. The old guys won.
Yeah.
Impressive. But we were like Toby Keith.
Right.
I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once.
Yeah, you won the first game.
We didn't play anymore. That's it, boys.
That's it, boys.
I feel you all look hurt. Something's going on. Hit one of them hard enough, they don't want to play again.
That's the story of my life.
But then I looked around and said, where's the Kona truck?
Yeah.
And the reason why I said it was because I'm exhausted. I need something to refresh myself. And I'm thinking, man, they've been here the last 2 or 3 days. Where's the damn Kona truck? And eventually they came around, and I was pumped, and I was so excited. I got my $20 and bought like 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
But here's what I know. in that little moment of Mark Perkins' happiness, when I didn't even know a Tony, I was happy about that Kona truck.
Yeah.
And if you weren't the guy
Right.
that was out laying it on the line, there's these little moments that improve all of our lives.
Correct.
That moment at that time, because you went all in
Right.
and capitalism paid off for you, but it's because you made it pay off, you make somebody's life better.
Yeah.
A little $4 or $5 piece of shaved ice that Nero came up with in 27 BC.
Man, you've done your homework, brother. Wow.
So do we give credit to Tony Lamb or we give it to Nero? I don't know which one.
I think Nero gets the
That
credit.
crazy son of a bitch.
Yeah, crazy. That's exactly right.
But no, I think that that's why people who are in business and they build something, I don't care if it's one of your Kona Ice franchisees, there's someone out there, they're making the kids smile, they're making somebody's life a little bit better.
Yeah.
And there's so many businesses that do that for us throughout the day. Man, without this environment in this great country allowing people like you and I to do this, it wouldn't be as special for everybody.
Right.
So F socialism.
I couldn't agree more.
Right?